Shavkat Rakhmonov defeats Ian Garry by unanimous decision, 3 rounds to 2, 48-47. And yes, Ian Garry, as I put on Twitter, kind of earned his bragging rights tonight. Shavkat Rakhmonov won fair and square, but, and I'll be breaking this down in another video, he didn't look as impressive as I thought. I thought he was going to win this fight comfortably and it wasn't going to be much of a challenge for him, but I was wrong. Ian Garry, he showed very good takedown defense in this fight. He took Shavkat Rakhmonov's back and he didn't get close to finishing. Again, I don't know what they were saying on commentary with Joe Rogan's very biased self on the mic, but Ian Garry did look good in there, much better than I thought he would. And Rakhmonov, he showed that if he's unable to pin guys down at long range and nail them with his big punches or set up his kicks or his spinning attacks, etc., then he is prepared to cage stall, because he did that against Stephen Thompson, and I thought that was because he was injured and he just wanted to close the distance because Stephen Thompson is not somebody you give space to. But he did the same thing here, and I thought, okay, well, he's going to get Ian Garry down like he did Stephen Thompson. It just might be a bit slow. But actually, it wasn't the case. Ian Garry stopped all of Shavkat's takedowns for the first 2 rounds, and I thought, okay, this is not looking good for Rakhmonov. There was no damage done by Ian Garry at all, but nonetheless, he was staying on his feet. In the first round, there were, I think, 2 cases where they separated, and Rakhmonov delivered, I think it was a right hand at long range, and he seemed like he was able to hit Ian Garry pretty much at will, so he won the first round. The second round, Ian Garry was moving a lot, as I expected. He was really going for those calf kicks. He was trying to stomp Shavkat's lead leg, and he was kind of successful in doing it. He was getting caught repeatedly by Rakhmonov's punches, and Rakhmonov did fight more disciplined than he did against Jeff Neal a long time ago. So the second round, again, was very clearly Shavkat's. He landed the better shots. He did get the takedown at all, but nonetheless, he did land some damaging strikes against the cage on Garry. So the third round came, and Garry, again, he was moving a lot. He was stomping that lead leg. He was throwing calf kicks non-stop, and he wasn't damaging Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'm sure Joe Rogan was saying on commentary that those kicks were lighting Shavkat up, like he suggested, or didn't suggest, he flat out said during the Ian Garry Jeff Neal fight. He said that Ian Garry's leg kicks, they're doing all kinds of damage, these calf kicks, they changed the game, blah blah blah. I'm sure he was saying some of that here, but he wasn't doing damage to Shavkat. What he was doing was avoiding Shavkat's takedowns, and he wasn't really getting hurt on the feet. So it was becoming a bit of a slow fight, but it was favouring Ian Garry in a strange way, because Shavkat is the guy who was expected by many, like myself, to win this fight with no problem. Then the fourth round came, and Ian Garry, so the third round was close-ish, but Ian Garry did win it, and it was the first time Shavkat lost a round in the UFC. So the fourth round came. Shavkat, again, he was letting his hands go very conservatively, and he wasn't chasing the finish. He was respectful of Garry. He was throwing spinning kicks and spinning attacks, which were kind of getting close to Ian Garry, but I just don't know why fighters do that when they're against somebody who wants to take them to the ground. I mean, Michael Venom Page could have won his fight against Ian Garry, but he went for too many spinning attacks. I don't know why Shavkat was doing that. Then Ian Garry ended up on the canvas because Shavkat shot a takedown, and Garry, I think he went for a guillotine, but Shavkat picked his right leg and was able to take him down and deliver some ground and pound. So fourth round for Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Garry did need a finish, and in the fifth round, Shavkat came out trying to make a point. He went for a takedown. Ian Garry went for a guillotine, but what was really alarming if you're a Shavkat fan is that as Shavkat got the takedown, Ian Garry transitioned to the back, he got a body triangle, and he was holding it. Shavkat Rakhmonov, who had never been taken down in his UFC career, still hasn't been taken down, but he had an opponent on his back, and this was the one opportunity that Ian Garry actually had to do some damage. And the rear naked choke never got sunk in, but he did hold Shavkat Rakhmonov's back for almost 2.5 minutes, and Shavkat was able to spin out of it eventually, but it was not a comfortable position. Ian Garry challenged Shavkat Rakhmonov for the first time in his UFC career. So this has to be said. Ian Garry, I thought I was going to be doing a video after the fight talking about how delusional Ian Garry is, and I probably still will, but Ian Garry did kind of earn some bragging rights tonight, I have to be honest. He gave Shavkat Rakhmonov the first real adversity he's had in the UFC. Like, Jeff Neal landed some good shots and did hurt Rakhmonov at times, but that was a time where he missed weight pretty substantially, and I don't think Rakhmonov wanted to fight conservatively in that fight. I think he fought to make a point, whereas here he fought somewhat cautious. He was disciplined. He didn't go in there looking to finish Ian Garry immediately, and he had some adversity to deal with. So the 5th round was Ian Garry's. The judges scored the fight correctly. It would have been a robbery if they did give this to Ian Garry, but given that Ian Garry was written off by people like me, I didn't do a prediction video, but I'm back into uploading regularly. And Ian Garry also took this fight on short notice. He kind of comes out looking pretty good in the end. And Rakhmonov, I'll do another video talking about where he goes from here in terms of his perception in the MMA space, but he didn't look as good as I expected, and there are things there which I look at and think Belal Muhammad might be able to capitalize on them. So yeah, we've got to wait and see how that fight looks, but Belal Muhammad came into the octagon, and I have to say it was a very, very awkward stare down. Like, Rakhmonov looked like he was tired. He said he had been out for a long time and he had some issues. Like, I don't know if he was talking about injuries. We'll see what he says at the press conference, but Rakhmonov sounded like he had some reason for why he was tired, and he just looked disinterested. And Belal Muhammad, he was dealing with the boos fine. He was calling them on, saying, hey, the boos are going to turn into cheers, and he's going to approach this fight confidently. I believe he was already going to be confident, but now I think he's legit going to look at Rakhmonov and think, you know what, I can beat this guy. So it was an so-so performance from Rakhmonov, not a dominant performance. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought down below. Ian Garry, it pains me to say this, but he did kind of come out looking okay for once, and he's kind of got some bragging rights. But Rakhmonov, I still think he's dangerous, but there is a question as to whether or not he is what we thought he was beforehand. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more, guys. Catch you later.